Hi there, mini Mind Lab explorers. Have you ever wondered why we don't float off into space like balloons? Or why that basketball you tossed in the air always comes back down? It's all because of something super cool called gravity. It's everywhere, all around us. And it's one of the most important forces in the universe. Today, we're diving into the amazing world of gravity to find out what it is, how it works, and why it's so important. So let's jump and fall right into it. So, what exactly is gravity? Well, it's a force kind of like an invisible hand that pulls things toward each other. Imagine you have two magnets. You know how they stick together when you bring them close? Gravity is kind of like that, but instead of magnets, it works on anything with mass. And by mass, I mean the stuff that makes up, well, everything. You have mass, I have mass, this computer I'm using has mass. Even that speck of dust you see floating in the sunbeam has mass. And all these things with mass attract each other. It's like they're all giving each other a big invisible hug. Now, here's the really cool part. Every single object with mass has gravity. That means you have your own little bit of gravity, I have my own little bit of gravity, and yes, even that speck of dust has its own teeny tiny bit of gravity. But here's the thing, the bigger the object, the stronger its gravity. Think about it like this, the Earth is really big, right? Like super duper massive. So, its gravity is super strong too. It's so strong that it keeps all of us stuck to the ground and even keeps the moon, our planet's trusty sidekick, orbiting around us. Okay, Mini Mind Lab friends, time for a little experiment. Grab a ball or a toy, anything you can safely drop, got it? Good. Now, hold it up high and let it go. What happened? It fell straight down, didn't it? That, my friends, is gravity in action. That invisible force we've been talking about, the one that makes things attracted to each other, it pulled that ball right down to the ground. And it's not just balls, it's everything. That's why when you jump up, you come back down. You can't escape Earth's powerful gravity. Now you might be thinking, but Bill, what about astronauts? They float around in space. Don't they escape gravity? That's a great question, and the answer is, sort of. Here's the thing, even in space, there's gravity. It's everywhere. But when astronauts are way up high in orbit, they're so far from Earth that its gravity is much weaker. Plus they're zooming around Earth really fast, like a race car on a circular track. This super fast speed makes them feel weightless, like they're constantly falling but never hitting the ground. It's like that feeling you get on a roller coaster when you go down a big drop, kind of like floating, right? Chapter 5. Fun Gravity Facts. Get ready to dive into the amazing world of gravity, where we'll uncover some mind-blowing facts that will make you see the world in a whole new way. Alright, Mini Mind Lab crew, get ready for some fun gravity facts. Gravity is the force that keeps us grounded, quite literally. It's what makes sure we don't float off into space and keeps our feet firmly planted on the ground. Fact number 1. Did you know that the moon's gravity is weaker than Earth's? In fact, it's only about 1/6 as strong. This means that if you weigh 60 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh 10 pounds on the moon. That's why astronauts can jump so high on the moon. The weaker gravity allows them to leap much higher and farther than they ever could on Earth. Imagine being able to jump 6 times higher than you can now. It's like they have super-powered legs. This is not just fun and games, it also helps astronauts move around and carry out their tasks more easily in the low-gravity environment. Fact number 2. Without gravity, we wouldn't have tides in the ocean. The gravitational pull of the moon plays a crucial role in creating the tides that we see every day. The moon's gravity pulls on Earth's water, creating those waves that go in and out. This gravitational dance between the Earth and the moon is what causes the high and low tides that are so important for marine life and coastal ecosystems. It's like the moon is playing tug-of-war with the ocean. This constant pull and release shapes our coastlines and affects the way we interact with the sea. And lastly, fact number 3. Gravity isn't the same everywhere on Earth. Depending on where you are, gravity can be slightly stronger or weaker. This is due to the shape of the Earth and the distribution of its mass. If you're on a mountain, gravity is a tiny bit weaker than it is at sea level. This is because you're farther from the center of the Earth where the gravitational pull is strongest. It's not enough to make you float away or anything, but it's still pretty cool. These small variations in gravity can even affect how we measure time and space, making it a fascinating topic for scientists to study. So there you have it, Mini Mind Lab crew. Gravity is an incredible force that shapes our world in so many ways. Keep exploring and stay curious. Chapter 6. That's Sir Isaac Newton to you. Now, we can't talk about gravity without talking about the superstar who figured out how it all works. Sir Isaac Newton. Born on January 4, 1643 in Woolsthorpe, England, Newton was not just any ordinary scientist. He was a mathematician, physicist, astronomer, and author who is widely recognized as one of the most influential scientists of all time. His work laid the foundation for classical mechanics, and his book, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, is considered one of the most important works in the history of science. Legend has it that he was sitting under an apple tree one day, when plunk, an apple fell on his head. This seemingly simple event sparked a series of thoughts in Newton's mind. He began to wonder why the apple fell straight down and not sideways or upwards. This curiosity led him to ponder the forces at play. Now, Newton was a pretty smart guy, and instead of just going, "Ouch!" he started thinking, why do things always fall down? This question led him to develop his theory of gravitation. He realized that there must be a force pulling objects towards the Earth, but Newton didn't stop there. He wanted to understand how this force worked and how it could be measured. And that, my friends, is how he discovered gravity. Well, not exactly, but it's a good story. The truth is, Newton's discovery was the result of years of meticulous observation, experimentation, and mathematical calculations. He formulated the law of universal gravitation, which states that every mass attracts every other mass in the universe, and the force between them is proportional to the product of their masses, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. Well, not exactly, but it's a good story. Newton's work on gravity was groundbreaking and changed the way we understand the universe. His laws of motion and universal gravitation explained not only the motion of objects on Earth, but also the motion of celestial bodies. This was a monumental leap in scientific thought and laid the groundwork for future scientists like Albert Einstein. Newton figured out that Earth pulls everything toward it because of gravity. This force is what keeps us grounded and what makes objects fall when dropped. But gravity isn't just limited to Earth. Newton's law of universal gravitation applies to all objects in the universe, from the smallest particles to the largest planets and stars. And he didn't stop there. He also discovered the laws that explain how gravity works everywhere in the universe, not just here on Earth. Thanks, Newton. His work paved the way for modern physics and astronomy, and his contributions continue to influence scientific research and discovery to this day. So the next time you see an apple fall, remember the brilliant mind of Sir Isaac Newton and his incredible contributions to science. Chapter 7. Experiment time. Alright, Mini Mind Lab scientists, are you ready for some more experiments? Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of physics with two exciting experiments that will help us understand how gravity works. So, put on your thinking caps and let's get started. I've got two fun ones for you. These experiments are not only educational, but also super fun. You'll get to see some cool science in action, and maybe even surprise yourself with what you learn. For the first experiment, you'll need two objects that are different sizes and weights, maybe a tennis ball and a marble. You can also use any other objects you have around the house, like a book and a pencil, or a toy car and a coin. The key is to have one object that is heavier and one that is lighter. Now hold them up high and drop them at the same time. What happens? Watch closely as they fall to the ground. Do they hit the ground at the same time, or does one land before the other? This is a classic experiment that scientists have been doing for centuries to understand how gravity works. Do they fall at the same speed, or does one fall faster than the other? You might be surprised to see that they fall at the same speed, even though one is heavier than the other. This is because gravity pulls on all objects with the same force, regardless of their weight. If there's no air in the way, they'll fall at the same speed. In a vacuum, where there is no air resistance, all objects fall at the same rate. This was famously demonstrated by astronaut David Scott on the moon, where he dropped a feather and a hammer, and they both hit the ground at the same time. That's because gravity pulls on all objects with the same force, regardless of their weight. This principle is known as the equivalence principle, and it's a fundamental concept in physics. It helps us understand how gravity works and why objects fall the way they do. Now for experiment number 2, it's time to jump. This experiment is all about experiencing gravity firsthand. Find a safe place to jump, like a soft mat or a grassy area, and see how high you can go. Try jumping with different amounts of force, and see how it affects your jump height. That's right, find a safe place to jump and see how high you can go. Notice how gravity pulls you back down to the ground after you jump. No matter how high you jump, gravity always brings you back down. This is because gravity is a constant force that is always acting on you. Then feel gravity pull you right back down to the ground. It's like an invisible hand that gently guides you back to the earth. This is a great way to feel the effects of gravity in a fun and interactive way. It's like the earth is saying, "Welcome back, don't forget about me." Gravity is always there, keeping us grounded and making sure we don't float away into space. So, the next time you jump, remember that gravity is your friend, always bringing you back home. Outro gravity, what's your favorite thing about it? Thanks for exploring the science of gravity with us mini Mind Lab adventurers. We learned that gravity is a force that pulls things together, and it's what keeps us grounded on Earth. We also learned that gravity is different on other planets and that even astronauts experience gravity, just in a different way. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite thing about gravity?